Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The meeting is just about to commence. I just remind members of the public about Council's governance rules. Council meetings, we like to make them a safe place for everyone. During the Council meeting, members of the public cannot address the meeting outside of public question time, must not interject or act offensively, must remain seated, must switch mobile phones to mute, must not operate any recording device, audio and/or visual, without obtaining consent from the Chief Executive Officer at least 3 days prior to the Council meeting, and can display placards or posters provided they're not offensive, do not obstruct entrances and exits to the chamber or impede any view or person. The Chair can direct any member of the public to stop interjecting or acting offensively. If that behaviour continues, the Chair can ask an authorised officer or a member of Victoria Police to remove members of the public from the chamber. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Ordinary Council meeting for Monday, the 9th of October 2023. Item 1.1, opening of meeting by Mayor. 1.2, attendance. Ms Weatherall, are there any apologies for this evening?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have an apology this evening from Councillor Jim Mehmeti.
Thank you. Item 1.3, acknowledgement of traditional custodians of the land. Those in the chamber may wish to stand for this item if they please. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pay respect to their elders past and present. We recognise and respect their continuing connections to climate, culture, country and waters. And we also pay our respect and acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders present here today in acknowledging their journey. And please remain standing for item 1.4, offering of prayer, reflection or affirmation, as part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community. The prayer, reflection or affirmation this evening will be offered by Reverend Graham Peters from Christian St James Anglican Church, Dandenong, a member of the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network. Thank you, Reverend.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor and councillors. When I wrote these reflections, I was unaware of the events of this weekend that would have shocked and saddened many in Israel, and certainly my prayers and condolences to all those who might have relatives or friends in Israel. But I think it's good that we're all reminded of these words of St Francis, who wrote some 600 years ago this peace prayer I'd like to share with you. His prayer was, "Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much speak to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life." I'd now like to continue just to pray for this meeting and for this City Council. God of love, we thank you for the City of Greater Dandenong Council and the services they provide to our wonderful city. We commit to you their agenda for this evening and ask that you would grant them wisdom in their deliberations, understanding of the complexities of the issues they need to deal with, compassion for the people of Dandenong, and especially for the most vulnerable. And we pray for the courage to do what is right, even when it might be the hardest thing to do. And in this meeting, help each one to listen well with a desire to understand. Help each one to speak with charity and restraint and care for each other. Help each one to act with character and conviction. And help us all to seek the common good rather than just our own agenda. We pray for your blessing over this city, for its growth and development, for greater employment opportunities for all, for respect and understanding between people of all nations, cultures and faiths present here in Dandenong, And we pray for peace on our streets and goodwill between our citizens. We pray for wisdom to face the big problems in our society, such as youth crime and homelessness. And we pray for our City Council that you would give them unity in their decisions and the capacity to see these decisions implemented. And we pray that you would bless their families who give them this time to serve our city. And we ask all this in your loving name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. And just before I move on to item 1.5, I would like to officially inform Deputy Mayor Councillor Lana Formoso, my fellow councillors, CEO Jackie Weatherall, executive team members, council officers and the Greater Dandenong community that tonight is my final council meeting as Mayor, as I have been selected as the Labor Party's preferred candidate to contest the by-election for the Victorian Government electorate seat of Mulgrave. As such, I will be taking a leave of absence commencing tomorrow, Tuesday the 10th of October, until the by-election, the date of which is yet to be confirmed. During this leave of absence, I will not collect any councillor allowance and will be turning in my council equipment to ensure I can run a campaign independent of council. I would like to thank you all for your unwavering support during my time as councillor and especially during my recent year as Mayor. To serve the Greater Dandenong community in this way has been such a great honour and a privilege. I've always prided myself on leading with enthusiasm, dedication and compassion. Thank you to the Deputy Mayor Lana Formoso and my fellow councillors for your support. I've appreciated your faith in me and together we have worked hard and achieved significant outcomes for our community. Greater Dandenong is my home as I grew up in Springvale and Noble Park. I still live locally and so it has been extremely rewarding and enriching to serve this wonderful community as Mayor. I'd like to thank CEO Jackie Weatherall and the exceptional executive team and council officers for your support and commitment, and particularly Ms Weatherall working closely with you as CEO and my time as Mayor and your coming on board to the team here at the City of Greater Dandenong. It has been fantastic to work with you. Thank you. I'd also like to thank my family and friends for your guidance and support and belief in me, and also for being flexible when I haven't been able to make time to catch up because of my schedule. Everyone knows my mother has been a particular inspiration for me, and her ongoing strength and determination, her value-driven purpose, compassion and sense of equality I continue to carry forward in all that I do, and maybe because of her I do the work that I do. I'd also like to make a special mention and thank Jo Thorne, Executive Assistant to the Mayor and councillors. Jo's help has been pivotal to ensure that we can all best serve our community, and she's there at all times of the day to reach out to and seek assistance and support. And I think being Mayor, you realise that you can't do the job without Jo Thorne. Thank you to our talented governance team who do so much for us all behind the scenes and even in front of the scenes during a council meeting, and being able to guide me as Mayor through meetings, but council as well. I'm very proud to be part of the most culturally diverse community in Australia. Our community continues to have its challenges, but our diversity is, of course, our strength. I'm very proud to have worked in my role as Mayor to support those most vulnerable and to enhance the physical and mental health and well-being of our residents. And as a psychologist, I understand the utmost importance of this work, both now and into the future. As a council, we are committed to our community's vision of our city being a home for all. And Greater Dandenong is a city where you can enjoy and embrace life through celebration and equal opportunity. As Mayor, I have enjoyed meeting so many inspiring people and relished the chance to attend so many community events that celebrate the uniqueness of who we are. The many cultural traditions that come from all corners of the globe we celebrate in Greater Dandenong. They rightfully become new traditions that we all enjoy. And I'm proud of the many major projects that we have developed together, including progress on the Dandenong Aquatic and Wellbeing Centre, the Keysborough South Community Hub, and the opening of the new state-of-the-art gym at the Noble Park Aquatic Centre. We continue to invest in important capital works and community infrastructure, creating vibrant and accessible spaces for our residents and visitors to enjoy. We invest in maintaining our roads, footpaths and drains and the protection of existing assets. While our financial position remains strong, our ongoing challenge is balancing our continued investment in capital improvements while also funding ongoing asset renewal to maintain our current service standards. The revitalised Springvale Boulevard was officially opened in the last 12 months to create a signature gateway entrance to Springvale. And we continue to revitalise the Noble Park Activity Centre and enhance community safety. We have implemented the anti-poverty strategy to ensure people currently living in poverty have the power and resources to share in life's possibilities and to realise their potential. In March, we launched the Keep It Clean campaign that aims to combat illegal dumping and street littering while further promoting Council's free hard rubbish collection service. In my time as Mayor, the tree canopy coverage of our city was boosted with the planting of 2,744 trees in public places, and the One Tree Per Child campaign was launched thanks to our fellow councillor, Councillor Garrard. We hosted our 10th annual Sustainability Festival, considered the most successful to date, with more than 3,000 people in attendance at the Dandenong Market. We are committed to climate change and financial, social and environmental sustainability. Safety for our motorists and pedestrians was also improved, with 3 road safety projects receiving $1 million in funding through the Black Spot program. We continued to advocate to state and federal governments to address key issues facing our Greater Dandenong community, including homelessness, poverty, gambling and social and affordable housing. The local government mayoral task force supporting people seeking asylum continued their great work, along with the Back Your Neighbour advocacy campaign to the federal government. This, in collaboration with 39 other councils and peak bodies throughout Australia, resulted in the conversion of temporary protection visas to permanent visas. This campaign's success now allows local refugee and asylum seekers, some of whom have been in Australia for more than a decade, to finally feel that this country is their home, as they will now be awarded permanent residency status in Australia. I was also proud to be a part of the community memorial celebration held in tribute to Greater Dandenong living treasure Merle Mitchell AM during my time as Mayor. She was duly recognised for her passionate community activism and her many achievements as a member of the Spirit of Enterprise. I'm also very proud of our commitment to embedding reconciliation across Council for our traditional custodians, as outlined in the Reconciliation Action Plan. It has been a very busy and rewarding year as Mayor. And once again, I thank my fellow councillors for giving me this incredible, life-changing opportunity. Greater Dandenong is indeed an outstanding place to live, work, visit and play. Serving you all in this role has been an honour, and I will be forever grateful to you all. Thank you, and to the community, I might add. Thank you. Item 1.5, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Trong, seconded by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 1.6, disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest, Ms Weatherall?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Item 1.7, adoption of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes. Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor Dark. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Councillor Garrard, do you wish to speak?
Madam Mayor, I just wish to take this opportunity to thank the members of the Audit and Risk Committee, of which you are a member yourself, and just thank them for highlighting some of the great work and the high standard of the council, but also pointing to some concerning issues going forward, issues that are facing many councils, and I think it's pertinent for people to be aware that councils right now are facing a variety of issues in a resource-constrained environment.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Item 2, Officers' Reports, Part 1. 2.1, Documents for Sealing. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Tan, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.2, Petitions and Joint Letters. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor Long. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.3, Statutory Planning Applications. There are none this evening for a change, so I will move on to item 3, Public Question Time. Ms Weatherall, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to remind members of the public that under section 4.5.8 of the Governance Rules, public questions must be limited to 300 words and only 3 questions will be considered at each meeting from each person. Today we received several questions from individuals over the question number limit. We will answer the three questions in this forum tonight from any individual and take the remaining questions on notice, and they will be attached to the minutes of the meeting. Our first question this evening is from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park, and it concerns Dandenong Primary School. Greater Dandenong's oldest surviving primary school, Dandenong Primary School, is celebrating its 150th anniversary in 2024. How is Greater Dandenong Council supporting the event? Can I ask our Director Community Strengthening, Ms Gillies, to respond, please?
Thank you. Ms Gillies, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr Kerwin, for the question and also highlighting this fantastic achievement for Dandenong Primary School. Myself and some other officers actually met with the principal back in July, actually, and as well as one of the council members from the primary school. Council have expressed it's very keen to support in any way we can. At the moment, the main event is going to be on May the 4th, 2024. That date is in councillors' diaries, and we've also been assisting the school in terms of things like public event space permits, assisting them in terms of contractors and event infrastructure suppliers that may be helpful. So we'll continue to work with the school for any support that we can provide for the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Gillies. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the next question is from Elizabeth Grasso of Keysborough, who I don't believe is in the audience this evening, and it concerns climate emergency strategy. The Council website has not had a progress report on the sustainability strategy since 2018. There are no progress reports on the climate emergency strategy on the website at all. I've seen in Council minutes from the last financial year that some of this material has been produced. When can it be put on the Council website? Can I please ask that our Director, City Planning, Design and Amenity, Mr Bosman, to respond?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you through yourself and thank you to Ms Grasso for the question. The Sustainability Strategy annual progress reports for the financial years 2019 to 20 and 2020 to 21 were embedded into the 5-year refresh of the Sustainability Strategy and were tabled at the 12th of December 2022 Council meeting. This is also available on the Sustainability Strategy page on the Council website. In terms of the next round of reporting, an external consultant is currently compiling the energy and water data for the most recent financial years. Once this data is provided, officers will commence progress reports for both the sustainability and climate emergency strategies. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you. The next question from Ms Grasso of Keysborough. In the last 3 years since the climate emergency strategy was endorsed, which council buildings have had solar panels installed and how many kilowatts of solar panels were installed? Can I ask Mr Bosman to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you, and again to Ms Grasso for her question. In 2019, and that's prior to the endorsement of the climate emergency strategy, Council had no solar installed. Since this time, 697 kilowatts of solar have been installed across 18 buildings, including the Noble Park Aquatic Centre, Jan Wilson Community Centre, Thomas Carroll Reserve Pavilion, and many others. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you. And our next question from Ms Grasso of Keysborough concerns climate emergency strategy. There seems to be a lot of council buildings, including older community centres, kindergartens and sporting pavilions, that do not have solar panels but have unimpeded access to the sun. This would be perfect for generating energy, not only for the building's consumption, but to also offset council emissions to help it achieve its 2025 emissions targets. Why are they not having solar panels and batteries installed? Can I ask our Director, Business Engineering and Major Projects, Mr Paul Kearsley, to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Ms Grasso, for the question. And as you can see from my colleague, Mr Bosman's answers, there is a very much a joint collaborative approach with regards to. So what I'm able to advise is that while the buildings mentioned are an important component of our journey to net zero emissions, Council has been prioritising the installation of solar panels at its largest electricity consuming assets, such as the Bennett Street Operations Centre and others, to achieve net zero as rapidly as possible. Council already sources 100% of its electricity from renewable sources through the Victorian Energy Collaboration Power Purchasing Agreement, reducing our emissions by over 85%. Additionally, Council's sustainable buildings policy mandates that solar must be included for all new projects or refurbishments of moderate to major scale, being projects of 1 million or more, and as such, solar is being installed on all council developments that meet this criteria. Some recent examples, as Mr Bosman has already alluded to, include the Springvale Community Hub, the Ross Reserve Sports Pavilion, and the proposed Keysborough South Community Hub, in addition to the proposed Dandenong Wellbeing Centre. Council has installed solar on 18 buildings since 2019. With regards to batteries, while the cost of battery storage is currently prohibitive, Council officers are actively investigating state and federal government grant opportunities and making spatial provision in new buildings to ensure this technology can be installed at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Ms Grasso had another question on community consultation for the 2024 budget that will be provided with the minutes. The next question is from Pam Naylor of Noble Park, who I believe is here, who's got 3 questions.
Thank you, Ms Naylor.
Evening, everybody. My first question this evening is, has the tree protection local law been gazetted yet? And if not, when do we expect that will occur?
Okay, thank you. I'll put that question to Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you, and Pam, thank you for the question. The process of gaining the required legal certification of the tree protection on private land local law is in the final stages and will hopefully be received soon, and on that basis remains on schedule to be officially gazetted by the end of October 2023. So there is a legal requirement that one gets a certification before you can gazette. We're awaiting that certification. Assuming that we get that in the next week or 2, we should be able to have that gazetted then by the end of October. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman.
Thank
Ms
you.
Naylor, would you like to go on to your second question?
Yes, my second question is, I think, in addition to local law, a significant tree register would be worth establishing. It would engage the community in identifying the most significant trees that they see on private land and would help council gain knowledge of them. Has this been considered? And if not, what were the conclusions and why?
Thank you, Ms Naylor. I'll put that question to Mr Bosman as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pam, thank you again. Some years ago, the idea of establishing a significant tree register was considered. A fundamental weakness in giving effect to such a register was protecting trees identified by the public as being significant, given that these trees are in the main on private land. The tree protection on private land, local law is able to give that protection, and by definition, any tree with a trunk diameter of equal to or greater than 40 centimetres at 1.4 metres above ground is protected. It is expected that this protection would embrace trees that would also have ended up on a significant tree register. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Naylor, your third question.
Okay, my third question is, in mid-2021, the justification that Council gave publicly for not putting a heritage overlay on the so-called Jug House, that is the home on the corner of Corrigan Road and Heatherton Road, was that Council would start work immediately on a heritage study to see systematically what additional houses were worthy of protection in the municipality. 2 years on, nothing has happened. Our history keeps on being destroyed, building by building, and a heritage study looking at what new buildings could be added doesn't progress. When will that assessment of new buildings that could be added begin?
Okay, thank you, Ms Naylor. I'll put that question once again to Mr Bosman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Pam. In fact, Council has already commenced a review of all the sites that are currently listed in the heritage overlay to determine if they remain appropriate for heritage listing or whether changes are required to the heritage overlay listing. It's a two-stage process, so that first part has commenced. It is intended that this review will be completed this financial year and will be followed by a planning scheme amendment to formally update the heritage overlay based on the outcome of this review. Following this, and that's the next stage after the assessment of what we currently have overlays on, Council will consider whether to pursue identifying and potentially adding additional sites to the heritage overlay. In considering this, Council will need to take into account the significant time, resource and financial costs that would be associated with pursuing additional sites. So that would be the second part of the heritage overlay assessment. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Can I just clarify? You've said that it has started, the first part of it. Who was notified? Like, how do people know that it actually started?
The first part, through you, Madam Mayor, the first part is an internal review of what is already on the overlay.
Okay.
So we then have a look to see whether the criteria which saw it included, the citations, etc., are still relevant. It's not at the stage which would be the second stage, where we're calling for the nomination of new properties.
Right.
This is the review of existing properties that are on the within the current list of heritage overlays. So that is work that's done internally. Going out in terms of looking at what might be added would be the second stage.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Bosman. Thank you, Ms Naylor.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is Mr Philip Lamaro of Dandenong. I just remind Mr Lamaro has actually asked more than 3 questions, so we'll allow him to ask his first question on Keneally Reserve, which incorporates actually 4 questions, and the other 2 questions we'll take on. Pardon?
Can I ask the other 2 questions and put that on another 7?
Yes, you can do it that way. Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Lamaro.
Notes. I should have printed them out, but I didn't get a chance. Sorry, one sec. Okay. Sorry. Council recently did works on Macquarie Street in central Dandenong where the unsafe footpath was replaced and new garden beds was installed. This was completed over a month ago and the garden beds have still not been planted out. When Council did the realignment of Mason Street, the Council did the garden beds before the job was completed. Can Council please explain why after a month these garden beds have not been planted and when this will happen?
Thank you, Mr Lamaro. I'll put that question to Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Mr Lamaro, for the question. I can advise that the Macquarie Street footpath works were conducted as part of Council's annual footpath maintenance program, as opposed to Mason Street works, which was a standalone project. Prior to the start of works, various teams within Council were consulted, including the horticultural team and the placemaking team, as these works were deemed to be reactive as compared to Mason Street, which had months and months and months of planning. It was decided to construct the garden beds for future planting and possible artworks and street furniture installation rather than just do a more traditional approach. These works are due to start this financial year and will progress as budgets and resources become available. And I will also advise that planting schedules and planting of trees and vegetation usually takes place in the autumn months, allowing for greater success rates.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Mr Lamaro, would you like to go on to
Wouldn't that be all, sorry, just follow up, wouldn't that be all included in the same budget? If you're doing the curbing and the footpath, wouldn't that budget of the planting be at the same budget?
No, it's not. It was done. It's a different project, different process.
It's the same project.
Sorry, Mr Lamaro, can you please move on to your next question? Thank you.
Okay. Last meeting, I asked Council about the trees to be removed and the Dandenong Council's decision to build the new Dandenong hub on corner of Clow and Stewart Streets. Last meeting, Council had confirmed some trees will be removed, but apparently trying to save some. Some of these trees are older than all of us. Some of these trees are older than everyone in this room and we will all be deceased before any replacement trees will grow to this size. Council owns land 200 metres away on the same street with no plans or permits. And Council has also acknowledged that this land is for future development. Will Council and councillors look at relocating this development to this site to stop trees being cut down in central Dandenong, and if not, why?
Okay, thank you, Mr Lamaro. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you again, Mr Lamaro, for the question. I can advise that Council, through the process of developing the concept plans in terms of also extensive consultation with the local community and the broader community, did undertake a number of options analysis in terms of other parts of the site that the building could be located. So it wasn't just a one choice of one particular location. There were a number of other locations looked at. I can advise that Council has recently passed a resolution on the preferred site and location. I'm happy to provide that report to you. Council is now committed to a design and documentation process for this particular part of the location. However, tree retention is an ongoing issue and will continue to be looked at through the next design phase, which will take us up to a budget process in around March, April of next year.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley.
Just to follow up. So Council is pushing for the state government to rechange...
Sorry, Mr Lamaro, it doesn't sound like a follow-up.
It is a follow-up.
I can only allow clarification.
Okay, clarification is... clarification. So Dandenong Council is building a building here to cut down trees. That is okay. But Dandenong is stopping state from cutting down trees in Noble Park. Is that correct?
So that sounds like a separate question, Mr Lamaro.
Okay, so how many trees will be cut down then in that development of your planning then? It's the same question.
Unfortunately, our rules stipulate that you can ask the 3 questions, and I believe that that's what has occurred here. Further questioning and sort of entering debate is not permitted in public question time, I'm afraid. But feel free to send an email to to the CEO, Ms Weatherall, and we can seek some clarification on those matters. Okay.
Okay, is that my last question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Lamaro.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next questions are from Judith Seiss of Dandenong North, who I believe is here. If she would like to come up to the microphone, please.
Thank you, Ms Seiss.
At the last council meeting, in answer to another resident's question about the lack of mandatory reusable cup options at the Springvale Community Hub Cafe, I was astonished by the answer that sustainability initiatives will be considered as part of the lease negotiations. Why is it that the council, who declared a climate emergency and whose own sustainability strategy has a vision of Greater Dandenong being one of the most sustainable cities in Australia by 2030, is only considering?
Thank you, Ms Seiss. I'll put that question to Ms Roberts.
Thanks, Judith, for the question. As we've stated before, the current lease does not have any requirement as to how the operator serves product. But at every opportunity, we try to assist them or encourage them on how to utilise reusable cups. So, as a landlord, we cannot actually mandate nor interfere with how they run their business. And we always keep in mind that the operational costs for the operator are sometimes higher when they consider environmental alternatives. So when we make any suggestions, we always keep that in mind as well. So also, as we've stated previously, the lease is currently under negotiation for a second term. So while we've said we will consider different options, we will definitely consider different options, but we have to keep in mind that we're negotiating with the current operator at the moment and the lease is already in place. So if we changed operators, it's a different ball game, but at the moment a lease is already in place and we're negotiating a second term.
So just to clarify, you're saying if the person who's in there now and you're negotiating the lease, you can't change any of the lease?
No, we can't change an existing lease. We can only change a new lease.
But aren't you making a new lease?
We're negotiating a second term at the moment, so we may not actually have a second term with that current operator. If that happens, we would negotiate a new lease with a new operator. So it just depends on how negotiations go. And with any new lease, we would put in environmental imperatives or conditions, which are not currently in the lease now.
Very disappointing.
Thank you, Ms Roberts. Ms Seiss, your second question, please.
Second question, I would like to thank the Council for having the heatwave preparedness, which I did attend. And my question is about what are the next steps following on from the Heatwave Preparedness Forum held on Tuesday the 19th of September at the Drum Theatre, in particular about educating the community that heatwaves are going to become more common and more intense, and particularly trying to get the community to understand that they're not just about keeping themselves safe, but understanding how important it is for the governments to go harder and faster on reducing emissions.
Thank you, Ms Seiss. I'll put that question to our CEO, Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Ms Seiss. Following the heatwave exercise event at the Drum Theatre on Tuesday the 19th of September, I can confirm Council's provided weekly information via email to all attendees to keep them up to date with progress. This includes us working with the various agencies to answer the many questions submitted by the audience at the event, and Council's also now planning to host a community forum as a follow-up to our heatwave event to work through practical ways we can prepare for this coming summer. Dates are still being discussed, but we'll have more information on this very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. And Ms Seiss, your third question.
Third question is, when will the draft for the Greater Dandenong Climate Change Mobilisation Plan be exhibited for community feedback.
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you. And Ms Syce, it's a very quick and easy answer, I'm pleased to say.
Oh, good.
The draft Climate Change Engagement and Mobilisation Plan draft is currently undergoing internal review by the relevant council business units, and following the review, the draft will be exhibited for public feedback, and it's anticipated to occur prior to the end of the calendar year.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Thank you, Ms Syce. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is from Gai Guest of Keysborough and concerns Council's stance on planning changes. Many other councils have released public statements on the views of the recent major planning changes announced in the housing statement that will take council planning powers away, open up large areas to high density and take away resident objection rights. Why hasn't Greater Dandenong Council put a public statement on their website yet, and if they intend to do so, what is the time frame? Can I ask Mr Bosman to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you, and to Ms Guest. Council has undertaken a review of the changes to the planning system announced by the state government as part of the housing statement and is preparing a public statement in response. It is currently anticipated this will be available on Council's website by the end of this week. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you. Ms Guest, next question is concerning the heatwave event. In a heatwave event, how many of our council facilities, community spaces, have a generator to use in a blackout or solar panels to keep facility cool or with lights on? What council facilities or what council-owned or run facilities would be able to function in a blackout or load shedding event, and for how long? Given council only has a couple of small generators in their possession at the depot, what would these generators be used for in a heatwave event? The largest distributor of generators at the Heatwave Forum said that they only have about 1,000 generators, and I think they're of various sizes, and if a corporate event was on, they would already be hired out. What would be the ultimate solution if this is the case? Does council have a strategy in place for this scenario? And I'll be responding to that question. Thank you for the question, Gai. Council has 2 facilities with generator backup capacity to run critical IT services, telecommunications, immunisation, refrigerators, some lighting, and provides limited power at our Operations Centre and Civic Centre. Council also maintains a large generator at Springvale to power all the systems, including air conditioning for the Springvale Town Hall and Supper Room. While the Municipal Emergency Management Plan has accountability for developing the extreme heat emergency sub-plan, we are mindful of the need to establish practical ways we can prepare for this coming summer. As mentioned earlier, Council is also now planning to host a community forum as a follow-up to our heatwave event to work through practical ways we can work together to prepare for this coming summer. Dates are still being discussed, but we'll have more information on this very soon. Mayor, the next question is from B. Sloan of Dandenong, and it concerns the LGBTIQ Advisory Committee. Will you establish an LGBTIQ advisory committee, including youth, to advise council on programs to improve community understanding and inclusion of the LGBTIQ community? Can I ask our Director Community Strengthening, Ms Gillies, to respond, please?
Ms Gillies, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much, B, for your question. Council is currently investigating a number of different options to increase the understanding and inclusion of LGBTIQ+ communities. As part of this the scoping exercise, Council have joined the Northern Council's Rainbow Network as a guest member to better understand issues affecting this community and the work being undertaken by other local councils. Council is also a member of the LG Pro LGBTIQ+ Special Interest Group, which is a statewide network made up of officers from a range of different councils. The network has provided great opportunities for council to share experience and learnings in establishing LGBTIQ+ reference groups and advisory committees. And the feedback and learnings from this we're currently considering as part of our own decisions to form such advisory or working groups. More broadly, and in the meantime, we work to ensure all of our programs and services are inclusive. For example, our Youth and Family Services team have a project underway called #ProudToBe. The project outcome is a film designed and produced by young people 16 to 25. At the Libraries, Arts and Cultures teams, for example, advocate for inclusivity across all programs. They've also advocated for specific programs and murals, for example, running the Drag Trivia Night earlier this year and the mural on the external walls of Walker Street Gallery to specifically celebrate and share stories from the LGBTIQ+ community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Gillies. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have another question from B. Sloan of Dandenong concerning Greater Dandenong Climate Change Mobilisation Plan. Young people all over the world are trying to get the current generation of adults to stop using their power to stop or at least slow down climate change. Will the Greater Dandenong Climate Change Mobilisation Plan directly involve Greater Dandenong youth in climate leadership roles, projects and training through new programs and other opportunities? As a young person aged 12, it's hard to trust that adults will do enough for climate change. You haven't done enough so far. Can I ask Mr Bosman to respond, please?
Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you. And through yourself, thank you to B. Sloan. The draft Climate Change Engagement and Mobilisation Plan certainly recognises the key role young people play in responding to climate change, with a dedicated theme focusing specifically on how Council can empower youth aged 24 years of age and under. Council officers are considering the establishment of a youth environmental leadership program as a key action of the CEMP to ensure that our young people are at the centre of climate action in Greater Dandenong. Council is aware of the interest young people have in climate change and is seeking to support this as much as possible. Recent examples of work in this space includes the June 2023 Climate Changes Forum, which brought together over 60 young participants from 5 local schools, fostering leadership skills and providing a platform to discuss vital climate change actions. Additionally, the Freezer Youth Group were involved in the 2023 Sustainability Festival by designing and running their own environmental engagement activity, an initiative set to return in 2024. Council also collaborated with the Ceres Environmental Park in 2022 to deliver an environmental leadership summit for local primary schools, and this summit will be delivered again in May 2024. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is from Emily Sloan of Dandenong, and it concerns Trans Day of Remembrance. The Trans Day of Remembrance on 20th November is when our community honours the memory of transgender people whose lives have been lost in acts of anti-trans violence, our friends and our family. It's preceded by the Trans Awareness Week, November 13th to 19th, which aims to help awareness of trans and gender diverse people, the issues they face and the ways we can get involved as allies to improve lives and create a fairer and more equal world for everyone. Will Council fly the trans flag to mark Trans Day of Remembrance on the 20th of November? Can I ask our Manager Governance, Ms Roberts, to respond, please?
Ms Roberts, please.
Thanks, Emily, for the question. Through you, Mayor. We are able to take applications for flying community flags on our community flagpoles in Harmony Square. The application to do so is on our website. If you search under flags, you should be able to find it there. And I would urge you to get that in as soon as possible, and we will consider that application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Roberts. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've got another question from Emily Sloan of Dandenong concerning Dandenong Community Hub. With respect to the Dandenong Community Hub, Council resolved at a Council meeting in April that using option 2 as the base concept design, that a co-design approach be used to finalise the concept design prior to the 30th of October 2023, using feedback from the November 22 consultation. We're now heading into mid-October. What are the dates of the co-design consultation sessions? Can I ask our Director of Business Engineering and Major Projects, Mr Kersley, to respond?
Thank you. Mr Kersley, please.
Thank you, Emily, for the question. I'm happy to advise that a planned community consultation session for the Dandenong Community Hub is planned to be held at 5:30 p.m. Thursday the 26th of October 2023 at the Dandenong Civic Centre, and invitations to the community are currently being prepared. This is in response to the community's request with regards to more consultation, and also satisfies Council's resolution at this point. And I'd perhaps like to extend the offer of the invitation to Mr Lamaro, who is interested in this particular project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And it's our last question. It's from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park and concerns the McDonald's redevelopment. The McDonald's at the corner of Elanera Drive and Princess Highway, Noble Park North, recently was redeveloped and a number of trees and a lot of landscaping cleared. In the permit for the redevelopment, were new trees and landscaping required? If not, why not? And if it was required, has enforcement action been undertaken, as they don't seem to be complying? Can I ask our Director of City Planning, Design and Amenity, Mr Bosman, to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you, and to Mr Kerwin of Noble Park as well. An amended planning permit to modify the car parking access and drive-through area for this site at 392 Princess Highway was approved in August 2023. It is noted that a small number of trees were also required to be removed for this development. However, these trees did not require a planning permit to be removed. While a permit was not required for the removal, additional planting has been shown on the endorsed plans in the middle of the site, which is supported by a permit condition requiring the landscaping to be completed within 3 months of the completion of the works. Officers will attend the site in due course to ensure the landscaping is completed within the 3-month period as is set out in the condition on the permit. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall, are there questions from the last council meeting to be taken on notice? And taken?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and they'll be attached to the minutes.
Thank you. Item 4, Officers' Reports Part 2, 4.1 Other, 4.1.1 Draft Minutes of Arts Advisory Board, 22nd of August 2023. Moved by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.1.2, List of Registered Correspondence to Mayor and Councillors. Moved by Councillor Lim, seconded by Councillor Trong. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 5, Notices of Motion. So there are no notices of motion tonight, so I'll move on to item 6 and reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. I will start with Councillor O'Reilly, please.
Thank you, Mayor. No report this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Councillor Trong.
Mayor, I don't have a report.
Thank you. Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So firstly, I just want to congratulate yourself. Just got elected to be the candidate for the Mulgrave by-election. So congratulations and thank you for all your work for the last 12 months as Mayor. This is my council report from the last 2 weeks. So I attended the Pshomban, which is the Ancestors' Day, and the Cambodian Association of Victoria. The 38 AGM, which is yesterday, over the weekend. We've got around, I think, over 100 people that attend. So a bit about Pshomban, which is the Ancestors' Day. Basically, it's a 15 days religious festival in Cambodia, one of the most important festivals after the New Year. So mainly it's about religious. So we believe that once a year, all the Cambodian honours their ancestors, so about 7 generations that's passed. So it's time for us to pray and offering food and stuff like that to the temple, to the monks, so they can pray and offer to the soul who passed away, so they can release from all the bad karma. Yeah, I also just want to congratulate the Cambodian Association of Victoria as well for their 38th anniversary, which is a long time. And thank you to the CUV, especially to the president, Mr. Yu Hon Chia. As you know, he's a former mayor, also a former councillor here, and the living treasurer in Greater Dandenong as well. 38 years, a long time. And with the executive staff and all the volunteers. Basically, they only got around 3 to 4 staff, paid staff, the rest based on volunteers. So I've done a lot of great work in terms of gambling, supporting the gambling with the community, family violence, all the community care as well with aged care. So basically, they form of the elderly group, the women's group, and the youth group. So I just want to say congratulate to all the hard work for 38 years. My question for tonight, through you, Mayor, just a follow-up question. This is regarding to a question from our one of the Noble Park residents. The first one regarding to due to the crisis of the cost of living recently. So we can see there's a lot of bakers at the moment in front of Noble Park, Coles Noble Park. So just make it harder for our disability resident to enter at the Coles section. So I did raise it with the relevant officer before. Do we have any update on that yet? Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Ms Gillies, please. Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Tan. No update further to what I came back to you last week, in that we have been out and observed, and at the times we've been there, there hasn't been any issues, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that and visit the site. Thank you, Ms Gillies. Councillor Tan.
Thank you. The second question, just regarding to the traffic and parking issues. So mainly in Noble Park area, there's a lot of car parks on both sides of the road or on the street. So if any large vehicle trying to reverse or get in and out, so the other car cannot go through. So this related to Frank Street, Noble Park, Noble Street, Buckley Street, and Leonard Avenue. I just need to know any update from the relevant officer from the Transport Department.
Okay, thank you. I might put that question to Mr Bosman, given it's about parking. Or no, Mr Kearsley. Yeah, no. There we go. Thank you, Mr Kearsley.
Thank you. I don't mean to steal any thunder from my colleague, but I suppose the issue really is that the reversing and manoeuvring of any vehicle on a road is subject to state legislation. You have to drive capably, you have to be very careful and mindful. We don't have regulations that relate to trucks and others reversing in streets. So at the end of the day, it lies with the responsibility of the user of the vehicle to make sure that they are adhering to all laws. I mean, that comes with regards to parking as well. We have laws that relate to parking. But in terms of truck manoeuvrability and those sorts of things, our roads are designed to cater for appropriate truck sizes for the delivery of vehicles to what you'd say is a shopping centre. Certainly with regards to any large vehicles like B-doubles and things like that, the road structure and the road size is not appropriate. So if the resident or anybody has concerns about the size of the trucks, we could certainly happy to investigate that and would contact the relevant retail outlets to advise them of such. But with regards to how people manoeuvre and move within the road space, that is basically common sense, but also adhered to state legislation and road law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Tan? Thank you. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you for your exceptional leadership throughout your tenure. You have consistently represented the Council and the City of Greater Dandenong with the utmost dedication and professionalism. Your unwavering commitment to our community has been deeply valued, and I wish you every success in your future endeavours.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, my first question tonight is regarding the water issue at the dog park, and this is a question without notice. Yesterday, the water at the dog fountain in the dog parks in Keysborough South turned white and was of great concern to the residents. I have a number of questions. I'll ask them at once. Has this water now been turned off? The council was notified yesterday. What is the cause? Was this water potentially harmful? And what measures are in place to respond quickly to situations like this to prevent harm to the dogs attending the park? When will this be fixed? And lastly, we were told that the process was underway to put in a separate water meter in the dog parks to prevent future issues, of which there have been many recently. And I would like to know the status of that work.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Councillor. That's the first I've heard of that particular issue, so I'll take those matters on notice and seek some clarification from Matt Berry's staff. I have a meeting with him tomorrow, so I'll certainly be raising those matters with him.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a concern to me that you're not aware of this issue, given that the potential for harm, but I'll leave that there. Madam Mayor, I have been made aware by residents that the waterway in Keysborough South from Church Street to Westwood is overgrown and needs to be cleared. Can we please send a letter to Melbourne Water and request that they undertake this work?
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Mr Kearsley?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. Would be happy to remind Melbourne Water of their obligations.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My last issue is a very concerning one. I received a very concerning phone call today. It's regarding, I received that phone call from a representative from the Sikh temple in Keysborough South, and I was deeply disturbed with what I heard. Some months ago, residents of Perry Road contacted me, concerned that they had not been consulted regarding the slip roads being provided to them to allow access to their properties. I then passed this on to the appropriate officer and was reassured that that consultation had taken place and that the situation was well managed. Recently, I was contacted by the local MP, Tim Richardson's office, to say that, in fact, representatives from the Sikh temple had contacted them because they have had no contact with the council since 2019. When I went back to the council to ask for further clarification, I was told that there had been 2 years of consultation with the temple and that, in fact, the temple had commissioned their own traffic management assessment, and that assessment had determined there was no requirement for a slip road access into the temple. This is incorrect. There has been no contact between the council and the temple since 2019. Now we're in a situation where the roadworks are commencing as we speak, and the council and the temple will not have a slip road to allow safe access into the temple, which, you know, hundreds of people attend the temple over the week. There is an 80-kilometre speed zone, and the expectation is that those entering the temple will be able to turn into a hard corner road, turn into the temple off an 80-kilometre busy road, which is next to an industrial zone with large vehicles travelling at speed, and these hundreds of people are supposedly supposed to access the temple from a hard left turn into the temple. This is unacceptable, it's unsafe, and in fact it's so unsafe that the contractor went to the temple and said, "This is unsafe, do you know this is unsafe?" And in fact, that's the only contact the temple has had. And the contractor went to the council, went back to the council and said, "This is unsafe." And the council said, "No, it's fine." So multiple people have begged the council to make sure there is safe access into the temple, and on multiple occasions the council has refused to change their position, refused to put in a slip road access, and has actually provided information that was not correct. This is extremely concerning, and I have my 3 questions are: can the council explain the vast discrepancy between the accounts of the council and the temple representatives? Has the council provided misleading or inaccurate details of this matter? And will the council immediately halt works and engage with Perry Road residents, and it's more than just the temple that are affected, to ensure they have appropriate and safe access to their properties?
Thank you, Ms Garrod. I'll put that question to Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, and I'll take that on notice. Recognising a number of significant issues have been raised, I will endeavour to raise that first thing tomorrow morning with the relevant staff and come back with an interim response prior to it being usually foreshadowed through the minutes of another council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Garrod.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just follow up to say that response, that there had been 2-year in-depth consultation, was given in camera in the chamber. And if that is incorrect or false information, this is extremely serious. And I would also point out the urgency of this situation is grave. Work was meant to start in September and is due to start any day. And when that work starts and there is no slip road put in, this situation is unfixable. So the council must act immediately to stop road work until this very serious situation is resolved. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Garrod. Councillor Long, please.
These are some of the events that I've attended since my last formal meeting. On the 29th of September, I attended the National Police Remembrance Day, end of day reflection at Springvale Cemetery. On the 4th of October, I attended the Women in Business Network session at the Dandenong Civic Centre. I would like to thank you for your leadership as Mayor Eden for this year. You have fulfilled your role as Mayor with passion and dedication. You have been selected as the candidate for the by-election for the seat of Mulgrave. I wish you great success in the by-election. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Formoso.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to thank you for being such an incredible mayor here at the City of Greater Dandenong. It's been an honour to serve as your deputy, and thank you for all the work that you've done for our community. I believe you'll be an excellent candidate for the Mulgrave District by-election, and I wish you all the very best success in that. You would be an excellent addition to Parliament, and I wish you all the very best with that. Sincere. I would also, I'll table all of the events that I attended during the week. However, I did want to mention in Chambers that the My Room Children's Cancer Charity for the AFL Cup Eve telethon raised $3,156,000 last week. So my family and I were there to support this incredible charity, and so we're so grateful that they raised such a large amount of money. Every dollar helps all the families that are affected by childhood cancer, so that was a really good result. And a big thank you to all the volunteers and ambassadors of the charity, and I wish them all the very best success in the future telethons. The other thing that I wanted to mention, sadly, during the week, last week, we lost one of our SES volunteers, David Colgan, who passed away way too soon. He was one of our most frequent responders to call-outs. He worked tirelessly behind the scenes, and it was a real honour and pleasure to work beside him as an incredible volunteer in our community. He was kind, he was humble, he was caring, and he was selfless. And it's a real great loss for not only our Greater Dandenong unit, but for our entire community. So my deepest condolences to him, his partner, and obviously to his family, his partner, and obviously everyone at our unit who's really struggling with this at the moment. And if I could ask you to perhaps organise some flowers to be sent to his family, please, on behalf of Council. That's all from me, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I would like to congratulate you, Eden, as a mayor, a great mayor. We work together as a team, and also now you become a candidate for Mulgrave. That's my electorate and also my vote as well. I wish you all the best. I believe that you're going to get elected very easily in that vote, and all the best for your future. And the last fortnight, just had a few events that I attended. Wednesday before last, I attended National Day celebration with Acting Consul General of China, with his team, and also with many Member of Parliament, and also opposition leaders, and also Sally Kep, the Lord Mayor of City of Melbourne, and so on. And Friday, the following Friday, I attended Springvale Italian Senior Club with our Deputy Mayor to raise funds for children with cancer, kids with cancer, and do some research as well. That's a great one. That Deputy Mayor gave a very emotional, speech that the club really, passionate about how to support that fundraising. And also after afternoon, I attended National Police Remembrance Day with the Mayor and with Angela Long and also Rhonda as well. That's a good one. But the other third one is just we had a good catch up with Deborah Lay and Chief Commissioner, not the Chief Commissioner, Acting Assistant Commissioner, and also Peter Koger, his inspector. We just said about Springvale young policeman Michael Hagen. He passed away on the 12th of August, a very young bloke, 12 August 2023. That be very emotional because I met him from time to time, and also young officer as well that come to help Springvale for the last couple of years. That's a sad part of that. We lost a very young officer. And also on the Sunday, I had a chance to attend Children Festival. We call Children Lantern Festival at Springvale Multicultural Place. Hopefully our council can support those activities, especially school holiday. They're very exciting, all the young children and the parents, and a lot of people turn up on that day. That thank you for our council that support some fund for that activity. We call Children Moon Festival. That's organized by Vietnamese Art of Victoria. And also hopefully in the future we can organize so many multicultural community to come to celebrate or to organize some festival in that multicultural place. That's an excellent one for me. And also on the Monday, I'm meeting with Kevin Van Boxtel and Ms. Gravy Davis and discuss about our final action plan. We're going to looking for who to invite, and they passed a lot of my responsibility to invite a lot of community leaders. I say, leave to me. I'm going to be already spread the word every association that I went the last couple of weeks regarding to Moon Festival, so many festivals. Hopefully they can come to give us some idea what they want for Springvale to become a tourist attraction. That's what I keep saying the same thing. And also I attend also a Springvale community, what do we call that one? I attended Autumn Moon Festival on the Saturday. On the Saturday, after that I attend Mid-Autumn Food Festival hosted by Golden Flower Chinese Friendship Association. That's another excellent festival as well that bring them together to avoid all these mental health. I may understand that. We call social integration, live longer, less mental health, and the loved one. That's good. I always love to tell them about that. And also at Springvale Community Hub as well, we had a meeting with Pira Gilly. She's very enthusiastic with our team. We have a lot of team this year, honestly, the Community Hub, committee member, a lot. And they're very enthusiastic. And also we had a good time with Peter that stayed until the end of the meeting. And after I had to go to another function, we called Springvale Neighborhood Health 40-year celebration. And on last Sunday again, I attended another festival again, but organized by City of Monash, but they wanted me to be there because that's a great one as well. There's a lot of young children, the elderly, the unbelievable, the orchestra is unbelievable, the young one as well. It's so amazing, that one. And that's about all. And finally, I would like to thank you to the Department of Planning, especially Mr. Jody Bosman. This is thank you from Bright Moon Temple. Thank you for your effort and help all the way. And especially recently, you approved another application. They're so exciting. They showed me about that, and they forward the email to me as well. And not just that, and so many other things that you're helping the Bright Moon. Secondly, from BBQK, that in Springvale now, we just only early than scheduled because our department as well, they thank you to me. They asked me to have a look. I went quickly just for 1 hour. It's just amazing. We should also support our local economy. It's amazing. So big, so nice and very high class, but very cheap. Buffet only $23 per head with sushi with all sorts. And Korean barbecue, $45. I shouldn't advertise this on but it's amazing to support local economy. And they thank you to our department as well to approve so quickly because they asked me in the past that what did I think in the past, what did I think about if they move to here? I said, that's a great one. Found out to be a lot. The survey found out to be a lot of Springvale people came all the way to Glen Waverley and to Box Hill. And you know, another thing I talked to the customer on that day, so many just only 1 2 days full of people. You know what he said? I come from Epping. Wow, you come all the way. How do you know this one? Just a few days only. Word of mouth. Friend told me, oh, very nice, and so on and so on. And the third one is one of the skewer they applied for, and they just ready recently. It's a long queue. I could not believe that. I asked my staff, this shop are going to take away, how are going to do well? They said, no, they're going to do well. They went to see all my staff, it's a young student, young uni student, all they enjoyed that. Please, the first day, about 50-meter queue. And the smell, it just hit me in my pharmacy. Everyone feel hungry straight away. And thanks our department that try to support our local economy and local business owner. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my first question I have this evening is regarding the Keysborough Park development, the old Keysborough Park Primary School site in Loxwood Avenue. This site started construction some time ago. A significant amount of earthwork has been done, which then led to a retaining wall being installed, and subsequent to that, some flooding in the park as the water was offside. The site has come to a complete standstill, and I've had a few residents ask me over the weekend about exactly where things are going at the moment in terms of the development. Is it still going? Has it come off completely to an end? There is a lot of rubbish blowing around the site, a lot of dirt when the wind picks up as well. Can we please get an update from the relevant director to contact the developer or the builder to find out exactly what is occurring with the site, given now it's been about 4 months that the site's come to a complete standstill.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you to yourself. Councillor Dark, happy to take that on. We'll make inquiries and then circulate the updated information to all councillors.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my next question actually is one that Councillor Garrard, I know, has mentioned in the past as well. But to do with the Keysborough crime night, I suppose, with the police, I know Dandenongs have one and Springvales have one, but I know that there's been a lot of correspondence, and myself and Councillor Garrard often receive a lot of correspondence from residents to do with issues with people entering private property, going on site and crime and things as well. Whether there is a provision of being able to hold a crime night for Keysborough residents shortly. I know certainly in Keysborough, the new part of Keysborough, that there are a lot of issues and there's WhatsApp groups that are regularly coming into equation. So if we could potentially please look at that.
Sure. Thanks, Councillor Dark. Ms Gillies, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Dark. Absolutely, we can look at that. We're also working very closely with VicPol at the moment. So if you do receive any of that, well, not at the moment, we're very close with them always. But if you could send through any of that information that you do receive, please do. And we're currently looking internally about resourcing in terms of being able to put even more focus on safety for our community and all areas of our community. So please send through any information that you have about particular issues.
Thank you, Ms Gillies.
Can I just
Councillor
contribute
Garrard.
to that conversation, Madam Mayor? We're having a community event in early December already being planned, so we can combine it with this at the Tatterson Centre. So it would be an ideal opportunity, I think, to combine those.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Councillor Garrard. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my next question is, well, actually, just while we're on the topic about the police and community safety, I had a resident actually contact Mr Selleck regarding the Dandenong railway station as well, and some crime that's been occurring around the Dandenong railway station. I believe it's become quite a hot spot recently of crime. If we could please also just liaise with the police about that as well. The next question I have is regarding 2 reserves in my ward that have actually been raised by a couple of residents in Sunnyvale Crescent. The first being the Foro Court Reserve and the second being the Accra Street Reserve. the residents that have asked me over the weekend saying that the reserves are they're older style. There's a few trees that are mature, but there's just grass, and there's no real seating or any sort of landscaped upgrades or anything like that at all. There were some queries about whether there was provision to put in some more planting of some more plants and create some more garden beds to make the site look a bit more modern. Whether there's options of using, I suppose, low shrubbery and things like that as well. If we could please have a look at that.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor. Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor. Certainly, I think between Mr Bosman's area and my area, we could seek some feedback as to whether or not that would be possible, especially with regards to whether there's an opportunity to put some seating in, all those sorts of things. So we can certainly look at that and come back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. My second last question tonight is with regards to what I've seen is almost at plague proportions is, ironically, real estate signs that keep popping up on nature strips and on sides of fences at the moment. And I've never seen so many more in my life. There's arrows pointing to streets that you go down and there's no stock. They're using boards which say, just call us if you're looking at selling, advertising, no, nothing at all. And I know they've been left on nature strips up and down, particularly through my ward. I've seen a lot. I know Keysborough South has had monumental proportions, and they just seem to be popping up more and more and more. Left from Friday night until Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I drive through the Keysborough South ward on my way to work every morning, and this morning the same board's been in the same position for, I reckon, about 5 days now, advertising a local agency. Could we please have a look and potentially do a sweep of the old part, new part of Keysborough and whichever other wards potentially are affected as well, and look at the non-compliance and breaches of the local laws with signs?
Thank you, Councillor. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, I share with Councillor Dark a frustration about these signboards that are left out. Certainly, Councillor Dark will do a sweep. In fact, what I'd like to see is when we do a review of our local laws that we simply take them off and turn them into scrap metal somewhere. But in the meantime, I'm happy to do a sweep in the area and see what we can do about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I suppose just want to say one of the biggest events that I've been to ever, actually, in my time on council was the Cara Cup that was held down at the Serbian Sports Centre last weekend. Over the 3 days that it was held, there was in excess of 7,000 people that came through the facility. There was people from the Serbian clubs all across Australia, from Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, Western Sydney, you name it. There was a massive, massive turnout. There was some singers that flew in from Serbia to sing who were well known as well. And to have such a good community turning out, having so many people come as well, I believe the Holiday Inn accommodated was almost at full capacity. The same thing with some other hotels in the area as well, which is very exciting to see. I know that they got to a point where I believe on the last day, about midday, they ran completely out of food. They were so overrun with the amount of demand of people that have been turning up. So it is really, really good to see that the City of Great Dandenong can accommodate and hold events like this, and also be able to celebrate who they are as multicultural citizens. And finally, I just wish you well in your next endeavour as you, I suppose, progress and head into a by-election. And best of luck with the campaigning as it will be over the next couple of months. And good luck.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for the record, none of those pointer boards are mine. I pick them up by 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening, as it is written in my permit. So, just for the record, I do share frustration. Sometimes they really do, obscure the vision at intersections or whatever. So I'll make sure that mine are picked up quite regularly. So, but thanks for bringing that initiative, Councillor Dark.
I'm glad you clarified that, Councillor Milkovich.
That's right. Look, I would like to give a big shout out to our Parks crew and tree planting crew. I don't know which department that exactly is. I think it's Mr. Matt Berry, Paul Kersley's department. Fantastic job they've done in the reserves and parks, and also the number of trees that have been planted along Gladstone Road, even Somerset Drive. I'm talking about my ward. I'm not talking about others. It's fantastic. I think residents have responded really well. I get calls and people say, well, look, it's really fantastic. It's been barren for a long, long time, and it's great to see that we're trying to increase that tree canopy coverage, substantially. And so thank you to Parks crew on doing a fantastic job. Like I said, I know we had a bit of a wet weather, so some parks were mowed, less frequently, but nonetheless, everything's under control, or it seems to be. So thank you very much for that. I also, as Councillor Dark mentioned, attended the Karađorđev Cup, which was this year was the biggest cup ever in the history. This was the 34th, and this was the biggest in history. It was in excess of 7,000 people. All the accommodation in Dandenong and close by was fully booked. The amount of money that has gone into a local area from visitors from all over Australia is just astounding. Honestly, it's from purchasing food from local shops to supermarkets to accommodation. It was just fantastic to see so many of my fellow Serbians, and there was actually a lot of other nations there enjoyed 3 days of music, celebration, food, and soccer. And congratulations to White Eagles, Serbian White Eagles from Springwell on winning this particular cup. Next year it's in Perth, so we won't be seeing them here, but it was a roaring success. So that was great to be attended to. Madam Mayor, best of luck. Wish you very best of luck. Hopefully you can fulfil the duty there should you get elected, same as you've done as the mayor of this city. So all the best and make us proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milkovich. Ms Weatherall, are there... Oh no, that's my turn. I nearly forgot myself. I might actually just table the events that I've attended. I think I've done enough talking today, but I do want to just reiterate a big thank you to councillors, CEO, executive team and council staff, and also the community. The community have made this role a very easy and enjoyable role, and I'm really grateful to our wonderful community for the privilege of being a councillor, but also Mayor of City of Greater Dandenong. And on that note now, I will go back to Ms Weatherall. Are there questions from last meeting to be taken on notice, or that were taken on notice to be tabled today?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and they'll be attached to the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7, urgent business, and we do have some urgent business today. 7.1, urgent business, leave of absence. Do I have a mover, please?
Happy to move that, Mayor.
Happy to second.
Oh, is it just... Oh, my apologies. We rarely have this. Okay. My apologies, because we rarely have urgent business. I will go back. So the first motion is that an item of urgent business be heard in relation to a leave of absence for Mayor Eden Foster to allow her to run a state election campaign for the Victorian seat of Mulgrave. Moved by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried, and I'll... Oh, a question, yes. Too late. Is there any opposition? No. Then I declare this item carried. I will move on to... Declared it urgent. I declare this item urgent. Now we move on to motion 2. That Council 1 grants a leave of absence to Mayor Eden Foster for the period 10 October 2023 to the date of the by-election day, yet to be confirmed. Number 2, notes Councillor Eden Foster will not be receiving a councillor allowance, not be utilising any council resources during the leave of absence. And number 3, notes Mayor Eden Foster's apology for all council meetings, councillor briefing sessions, pre-council meetings and council events scheduled to occur throughout the leave of absence.
Happy to move that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso and seconded by Councillor Long. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this urgent business carried.
Madam Mayor, we've got a little presentation for you now that that is carried. We have some flowers and also your mayoral portrait that we would like to present to you. And can I also add, on behalf of the workforce, we want to thank you for the excellent work you've done as Mayor. You've been a pleasure for all of us to work with, and I know how much the staff have really enjoyed it. So thank you so much, and good luck with the election. Yes?
Oh, sure, I'll get a photo in there.
Okay, ready? 1, 2.
Do you want me to move the chair?
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. Thanks, Lana.
Cheers.
Okay, look at me. Ready? 1, 2. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for the lovely presentation, and I'm sure I'll find a wall somewhere to place that. Item 8, close of business, and I declare this meeting closed at 8:29 p.m. And just for the sake of being able to use the gavel for once, I declare this meeting closed. Thank you, everyone.